So thank you all for joining. This webinar is being presented to you by LSNTAP and the Legal Services National Assistance Project and Pro Bono Net. And we started planning this about three months ago. And if you look at the library at LSNTAP, you will see that some of the presenters actually shared information about what they were doing last year related to technology for self-help. And then we brought in additional projects that have started to bloom or are just coming new, totally new on the scene. When looking at the topic of self-help tools and things that we can do to for people who are going to go to court or to an administrative agency, or even to deal with a private problem like a landlord-tenant one-on-one type problem, I was looking at how do we first bundle all of the materials that we can create into a theory of knowledge, and also into things that are intuitive or seem natural to us. And so in looking for how to best say, okay, this is why these materials that we are identifying and people are sharing with us are good, I came across some writings from some researchers in Ohio. And then also I came across this wonderful book that I had seen before, and that is called Brain Rules from Dr. John Medina. So those are two of the things that I will be sharing in the call. So we're going to look at knowledge, 3 different types of knowledge, and then we're going to look at other factors that lead to competence. And then these Brain Rules will really help you kind of understand why we think these materials that we're sharing from the 6 wonderful panelists that we have are really good models, because all of them are using some of this in terms of knowledge types, skills, and attitudes, or most of this in terms of bundling and making things interactive and allowing people to experiment. So we have 6 projects with us that will be presenting. They are in order of appearance. The first, Daniel Ediger from Northwest Justice Project and Colton Lawrence from TLSC. They will share with us their video projects, why they're doing them, how they're doing it, and why they're designing them the way they are. Then we're going to have Neil Bowman-Davis, who is coming to us as a facilitator from the Napa Superior Court, and he will share a tool that he's using called Prezi to help his self-represented litigants in divorce cases. Then we're going to have Michael Waters, who is an experienced attorney, talk about an online form that they created, making some very concrete decisions on how far to design the form for this audience of self-represented litigants, and to make sure that the form that they create it's a form that can be used competently to the process without creating any harm. And then at the end, Terry Ross, who some of you may know from Illinois Legal Aid Online, she's going to share with us the Guide Me's, which I think are a really good approach to bundle the types of knowledge and then the tools together in a way that makes it very easy to understand and follow for a person that's not an attorney. So jumping into the theories of knowledge really quick, basically all the footnotes and references are in the slide at the bottom of the slide. So when you download it, you will have this, and I have a reference screen at the end. These are not my original ideas. This is the work of 2 researchers in Ohio who are looking at knowledge. And so they basically state very competently that there's 3 types of knowledge, declarative knowledge, procedural knowledge, and conditional knowledge. And I think that as lawyers or people working in legal aid and in courts, we all know what declarative knowledge is. It's very, this is the law, this is what the accepted body of the definition of this type of cases, etc. Sometimes it's very specific to a particular domain, in our case, law. Procedural knowledge, as lawyers, we are involved in the procedural and all that. How do we do something? What are the instructions? Procedural knowledge on a self-help world can be a little tricky, because if you make it too specific, it gets into the area of advice, which you don't want to cross the line if you're doing information and referral. If you leave procedural knowledge general enough, that can be information. And so it's just a matter of how you present the information to the person. Do you present it as generally, these are your options, or do you present it in this case, this is your next step? That in some places, depending on your rules, could be advice. Conditional knowledge, again, I think we all pretty not rocket science. When do you do something? Why do you do something? Again, here, in this case, what you really need is to have an expert understand, who understands the problem and the many different ways that it presents, help you develop this kind of material so that they can address, let's say, the 80% of the most common circumstances. And again, you'll have to think carefully about conditional knowledge not getting into the advice part if that's not what you're trying to do. In addition to knowledge, Loles and Alexander, who are the researchers I'm referencing here, talk about two other pieces that are necessary if your goal is to take somebody who's not an expert and make them competent into learning or handling a new type of situation. And these two other factors are attitudes, which tend to be subjective to the individual, past experiences, feelings, culture, the way that they would approach the issue, and then skills, the integration of knowledge and skills into actual practice. I think that these two are very important because they come back again in brain rules. I think that most of us in the legal information and referral world kind of have down the three types of knowledge and are doing this very intuitively. I was looking for examples and I came across this page in Law Help New York, where they have it right here, general information. That's what is the law. A procedural, how do I report and identify theft, and then conditional, how do I fight back? This is an example of the three types of knowledge in one web page, in one area. It's boom, 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 very clear. I think a lot of us are kind of addressing the three types of knowledge very directly, and that's really good. People want to do that. In terms of attitudes and skills, it's harder to find examples. There are examples, and the presenters will show their examples here in the US. I just wanted to highlight that in other countries, they are more along that continuum that we are. And so, for example, in advice and now.org UK, it's basically the equivalent of a statewide information and referral page in the UK, and it's very also research-based. They are really taking steps at looking at how do you solve problems. So if you look at the arrow, a lot of their focus is in breaking down problem resolution and teaching people how to work through a problem, no matter what the substantive area of law is. Another example, and some of you may have seen this, now this is built in Flash, and we'll hear a little later on from Terry about Flash tools. But the concept here is that this is very easily identifiable in French up at the top right-hand corner. And then you have here the three types of knowledge in these three other arrows at the left. You have about the law, feelings, and why. The three types of knowledge, and then feelings, getting to the subjective attitude type skill. And so it's a tool for kids, and it talks to kids, gives them the vocabulary that they may hear their parents or the courts or the judge advocates talk to them in the context of them being involved in a divorce. And then it also helps kids explore their feelings and attitudes. This is not something that we see a lot here, but it's something that I think is, if we're going to be holistic about using technology to build self-help tools, it's an area where we should start exploring. And you will see Neil share a little bit more in his prezi that he did for his self-help center, how he deals a little bit with the emotional aspects of helping people out. Very quickly, I already referenced this. I really encourage people to take a look at this. Dr. John Medina has written this book, which really defines the way the work works and how we can use that to be better presenters and better teachers. And some of the ones that really resonate with me when I see the materials that all these wonderful programs have created is these basic ones, you know, the 10-minute rule. People get bored after 10 minutes, transition after 10 minutes. I'm about to transition myself out and give this to Daniel to keep it all engaged. Recall is better with visuals. If you have text and you have visuals, memory does a lot of things when you add sound, but when you add visuals, it even helps even more recall. So images, drawings, illustrations can go a long way to support text or oral. And the other one, you know, that I think we all understand is that vision trumps everything. Anything that is moving, anything that is graphical and easy to look at, not cluttered, that's gonna trump any other type of input. The other one we understand is that text is boring. People don't really want to read a long lot of text. And then the last one, which I think is where technology plays a big role, is the part is that as human beings, we're natural explorers. So what we want to do as we learn to navigate the world and an issue is really get our hands on things and try them on for size. So some of tools are already being used for this en masse, like online forms. You know, people can create their pleadings before they decide to submit them. People can write a letter to the landlord and go through that exercise before they actually give the letter to the landlord. As much exploration as can be built into any of the self-help materials, the more likely the person will feel competent once they are in front of that other party or that tribunal asking for the relief that they need to move on with their lives. So exploration is very important, and I think technology brings a lot into that. So I am going to turn it over to Daniel from Northwest Justice Project, and he will show you some of the wonderful work that they've been doing with video for self-help litigants.
Hello, everybody. I guess somebody will chat me if they can't hear me, but I'm going to assume you can hear me. And I'm going to talk about very briefly an introduction to our video project here at the Northwest Justice Project. So we have been creating a series of videos, legal educational videos here at the Northwest Justice Project. Originally, the bulk of our videos were funded from a grant from the Department of Commerce, a Broadband Technology Opportunities Program, which is administered in Washington State through EdLab. And it's helped us put some videos on Washington Law Help, our Law Help site here in Washington, and also create a YouTube channel. This is me. This is my email. It'll be in the resources at the end. You can email me any questions about this. Little background, I did have sort of a previous career in film and video. I worked on a lot of movies you probably haven't heard of unless you're a fan of modern-day Bollywood, like this one. I did go to law school at Loyola Law School in Los Angeles, and I have a postgraduate fellowship, which I'm in the second year of. The first year I went to Idaho Legal Aid Services in Boise, where I'm from. There I actually worked on a public legal education project too for seniors, mostly rural, who didn't have internet access, and so we created a printed guidebook with lots of different comprehensive all elder law issues. But we field tested it, had seniors tell us which words were confusing, and changed it over and over until it became better and used plain language principles, many of which I'm applying in the video project. Why videos? Well, obviously it's a way that we can get more information to our clients. But another thing you might not have thought about is it's a way for clients to find us who are out there searching. Maybe they don't even know about Washington Law Help, but they do know about YouTube. And YouTube is one of the largest search engines in the world, and people do search for Northwest Justice Project or foreclosure help or landlord-tenant stuff, even in YouTube, but also Google and stuff can direct those clients to us. So for example, when I started here, when somebody searched for Northwest Justice Project in the YouTube search engine, the only thing that came up was this video down here that somebody not affiliated with our organization made. And now most of our videos fill up the search results, including, and this is the same if you search foreclosure mediation or a substantive legal topic in Washington State. So these are our videos, these three, and these are not, but we're in there now as part of this. What kind of videos are we doing? animation with voiceover, video screen grabs and online demos, so circling an interactive form and showing people how to go through the internet if that's the process they need. Examples of legal forms and documents, and more traditional, I guess you'd think, videos, live action, and interviews style with attorneys. The hardware I use is basically my iPhone to take still photos. I have a computer. There's an external hard drive, very important, headphones. This is my office. There's a green screen, some lamps from IKEA, and that's sort of our setup. And this camera is a prosumer grade camera. Probably not everybody has this, but you can use a flip cam. I mean, the stuff we're doing can be replicated without that. And these are the softwares that we use. PowerPoint, Keynote, this is almost the main thing that we use. Camtasia to do the video screen grabs. The cameras that I was talking about, and paper, pens, whiteboard, animation. The method, the process that we go through, of course, there's a research assessment stage. What do the clients need to know? What are the topics we should cover? What information is already out there? And then there's the script writing process, which I'll focus on just a little bit. Of course, we want to make it accurate, succinct, and comprehensible. What I mean is write short and plain. So language, I mean, I can give you some guidelines like elimination of unnecessary and or redundant legal terms leads to a better educational resource, but really just to demonstrate what we're trying to do in the videos, here's some tips for better scripts. And I give these to the attorneys that I work with who are writing the scripts with me. Speak in second person, avoid passive voice, put subjects first, use concrete words, delete needless words. Each sentence should state an essential fact or direct viewers to take a simple action. And combing through the scripts, we try to make every sentence just essential. So this is a script template that we use. 2 columns is kind of the main thing. So there's a what you hear and a what you see. And this helps attorneys or people who aren't used to write scripts or screenplays to see that every sentence has to have a visual component because we're doing videos and not handouts. Just making a template like this makes that a lot easier. Of course, we start with research with the law, existing materials, maybe training materials for attorneys, documents that come up in the type of case we're looking at, and maybe existing training materials that are more visual, and our own public legal educational handouts, which are already been plain language principled, and then we come up with another script and try to think of some visuals. I mean, this is where some of my artistic background comes in, but also the attorneys have some good ideas too. I mean, everybody can understand a medical debt bill monster overpowering somebody, but of course sometimes more appropriate to show an actual bill and point people where to look, or just make a checklist. Here's the things to do. And then we go through over and over again script rewrites back and forth. So then we have to figure out how to show it. These are the more traditional style videos that I was talking about, and I think that some of these videos might be cost prohibitive for some people, including us. So hiring live actors, using lighting and sound in a situation like this pushed us to look at more animation type videos, including these hybrids. These are very good resources. They'll be in the resource list with on-screen text and graphics and a person, and then of course even more just cartoony animations, which are also very good. And we even looked outside of legal education into other educational videos. Here's a whiteboard, cutout paper, and somebody moving them in front of the camera. The Common Craft is a very good resource to look at just for something you can do, a style you can do cheaply. And so then we decide how to shoot it, animate it, edit it, and then we upload it to our YouTube and start promoting it. We will have a survey at the end of our videos so we can get more feedback. Of course, YouTube has a comments feature, and people can comment on the videos, and we moderate those. But also there's the analytics side of YouTube, which Google provides, so we can know how many viewers are watching them, who is watching them, whether they're watching them on our site or on their phone, or they've been embedded elsewhere, where they are, obviously mostly in Washington for our project. And what keeps their interest? One of the best features of YouTube analytics is showing when they drop off, when they stop watching. So then we can improve them. And we can also see the parts that they repeat. These little peaks here show where people stopped the video, rewinded it, sort of. So they are looking at these specific things. And these are just some of the topics we've covered. Foreclosure prevention and mediation. I'll show a brief 30-second clip of this one here in just a minute. And you can see, I'll just show this again, like a sort of process we thought a good way to show people how to get through a process on their own. It says the steps are doable, but they're in this order, and you just have to be diligent and work through them. Job security, unemployment benefits, barriers to employment, public benefits, fair hearings, landlord-tenant issues, and housing security. I'll note that YouTube allows you to place embedded buttons within videos, and we're making use of this. It's sometimes called the Choose Your Own Adventure feature. So like on this menu scene video, each of these apartments is a separate button to another video. So a viewer can look and say, my place, this is a draft by the way, but they can click on the one that's just relevant to them and don't have to watch them all, but they can see that they're all related, and then they can loop back and watch more than one. And of course, we've made instructional videos. This one, we had some money from a TIG grant to explain our online intake process, Clear Online. And these are the addresses where most of our videos live, Washington Law Help and our YouTube.
The video was showing a client how not to sandbag an issue with a lawyer. And so it was a very good modeling technique of, if you're going to go to a mediation, don't, discuss everything that you want before you get there, so that there's not this kind of issues come up, in the course of the mediation when you're supposed to be deciding if you accept the deal or not. So it was kind of, showing how a video can help people do modeling before they actually go and get into this kind of situation, which can be very difficult for all. So should we move on to Colton then?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you,
Please email
Daniel.
me if you have any questions.
I'm Neil Bowman-Davis. I'm from Napa Superior Court in Napa, California. Just so you have an idea, I'm sitting at a desk looking at the computer screen just like everybody else. I'm not in a hot air balloon over a valley or vineyard or sipping a glass of Chardonnay. With a self-help center, we help people help themselves with legal issues, and we have probably similar demands on our time and resources as many of the organizations that are attending the conference today. We have people with very similar problems and questions and concerns and uncertainty in every aspect of their lives. They're seeking information about process. And generally speaking, before I got involved in the Prezi that I'm going to be presenting to you before or later, we would just provide people with information on our website. And the screen that you're looking at is the website screen that we would refer people to. And quite frankly, it's really boring. If you're in a crisis, the last thing you really want to deal with is a website that has tons of boring information that doesn't really address your particular need that you have to sift through. And so I was lucky enough to stumble upon a program called Prezi during a chance encounter in our IT department. Now, just so you know, I don't work for them. I don't own any stock. I don't have any connection to this company whatsoever. It's just a program that we utilized and saw some potential in as soon as we got the chance to explore it a bit. And so this here is the Prezi interface. And with this, I kind of created a program. It's a free web-based application that's similar to PowerPoint. The difference is Prezi's ability to zoom in and zoom out on areas that you define. And the zooming and panning feature kind of transforms rather kind of old-fashioned PowerPoint presentations into an almost 3D experience. And as soon as I saw this in action, I immediately recognized its potential. And so as a way to kind of just show you what the program does and also to kind of let you know what we do, we're going to go ahead and show you kind of an early developed Prezi that we made just to kind of learn the program and kind of see how it all functions. And this is a program or a Prezi regarding our self-help center. We have people who call us constantly with questions about who we are, what we do. And so I wanted to answer this frequently asked questions in kind of a new way. And so we developed this presentation about who we are. And so let me just put it in full screen mode here. And as you can see, we have just a picture of my office. I'm actually in that little cubicle in the back right now speaking to you. There's a whole line of people out there listening in on us. But what you do is you hit this little play button down here and kind of zooms in into the particular areas that you want to focus in on. And here we're welcoming everyone to our self-help center. We can focus in on who we are and give a little information about ourselves. And we can back up, and then we can kind of let the people know how we can help them and the services that we provide. We also let the people know what the limitations are on what we can do in our office. We can scroll through this and then also go into the general topic areas that we're able to help with on a daily basis. And then backing out, we can talk about what we don't cover in our office. And then provide even more information about where we're located and how they can contact us. And give them direct information regarding our phone number, our website, and our email address. Now, as you can see, this is just a different way of introducing people to what we do here on a daily basis. And it's much more personable than the website and description, and also gives a person a sense of familiarity with who they're going to be meeting with or where they're going to be meeting, and gives them a sense of understanding of what they're going to be facing when they come into our office. And so that's just one particular Prezi that we developed. After we kind of worked on that, we kind of realized that, well, we can even make more impact on the types of things that we do with more complicated matters. So we developed another Prezi regarding a source of frequently asked questions. This is one of our highest demand topics regarding divorce. We have probably 100 people come into our office or ask for information over the phones regarding divorce every week. And so we decided to model this Prezi based upon our general presentation or typical encounter that we have with our customers. And so what I tried to first do is give a sense of understanding of or a recognition of their problem, and then talk about process generally, big issues in their situation, and then also talk about typical questions that they might need answers to and where to get more information. So in this particular example, we start off, let me go to full screen here for you. We start off with just kind of an introduction slide, but then go into a description of the topics that we're talking about. And again, trying to convey a sense of understanding as to the situations they're confronting. We kind of guide them through the process and give them a little encouragement and hope that they will make it through this process one step at a time. Let them know that the process, of course, has a beginning, because a lot of people just don't even know where to begin with their divorce or their legal separation. And of course, it has an end as well. And that's something that a lot of people want to know. They want to know that this process will end at some point in time, the pain will be relieved. So we also let them know that they're not going through this alone, that we can help them, guide them through the process from start to finish. And of course, then we begin the process of talking about where it all begins. And this is a picture of our courthouse, our old historic courthouse in downtown Napa. And here we provide a flow chart that talks about or addresses the overall process. In our general conversations with people, we try not to get bogged down in the individual aspects of this at this stage of the proceedings. What we want to do is just let them know that it's a process that has a beginning and end. There are components in the middle that they'll be addressing at later points in time. But then we also try to give them the basic information about how this all starts, and how papers are filed, and how who the parties are in this particular case, and more information about who the parties are. And of course, if there's help out there if they don't qualify for a fee waiver, or if they do qualify for a fee waiver, they don't have to worry about the fee. And just a reminder that they're not divorced until they actually receive some sort of paperwork in the mail that says that they're divorced. I don't want to go through each of these slides with you, but I do want to kind of just emphasize this program and how easy it is to flow from one section to another. Now we're moving from process into substantive issues. And here are some of the common issues in California that we deal with. And of course, people always come in with questions about what the process entails, but also what the issues are in their particular case. And so we want to always cover those typical issues in their particular case. As you can see, the program allows for panning and zooming into specific areas to highlight important topics that need coverage. So we can go and talk about various aspects of their custody part of their case and go into specific definitions if necessary. Again, general information, going into a little bit more specific detail, then backing out to more general information again. So let me just back out of this a bit. Another thing that you can do is you can embed not only text, but you can embed slides and photos. You can actually convert PowerPoint presentations into a slideshow. You can actually embed video and links to other online resources such as YouTube. You can make it even more three-dimensional with some other aspects and features of their program. And if I could just back out of this for a second, I'll show you kind of what they have here in terms of resources to learn how to use the program. So like I said, it's a free program, but you can purchase, I guess, an add-on which allows it to be a standalone program on your own computer. But it is web-based as it is right now for free. If you do purchase it, it's standalone on your own computer and you can bring it with you wherever you want without having the need for web access. They do have a number of tutorials that are available. This is how I got started. I just went to these tutorials and went through the first 3 steps. And then I also took a look at a lot of their examples. The great thing about their examples are that you can copy them and then you can delete their content and then use their templates as a basis to create your own prezis. And there's also a number of forums available as well that are available for support, which is another great online resource. Things that we're going to be doing in the future with these is developing more content. Right now, we have integrated the presentations, such as the divorce separation presentation, into our website. It's available here, and it can be accessed by anyone that accesses the website. The other great thing here is that you can actually share the resource by this little button down here. You can share it by a Facebook or a Twitter link, or you can just email a link to the actual Prezi itself, and that way people have it available. One thing that we've done that's really great is we've embedded the link in an email template, so we can actually email people the general website information plus the Prezi along with it, so people have both channels of communication available to them. Because, of course, people in all different walks of life learn different ways. Some are more visual, some are more educated and prefer more written materials, some prefer more visual materials. Whatever the need of the individual is, we try to provide that need either through our web materials or even written materials. We are going to try to develop more content. As you can see, we just have 2, our office and the divorce separation overview. But we are going to try to develop more introductions to our facilities, again, to provide familiarity with the courthouse and our departments and our courtrooms. We're going to try to develop more information on our general operations and how to prepare for court hearings and how to subpoena witnesses. And we might even become as bold as to create some videos and embed those videos within the Prezis themselves. I'm not sure if you have any questions, but I think that's all I wanted to present to you right now. It's a great program. The learning curve is not so steep. It's pretty easy to learn. It does take a few hours to kind of get familiar with how the prezzies are created and edited. We'll just kind of go into this real quick for you to give you an idea. Basically, you're given a wheel of opportunities or tools to actually fine-tune your text and to put it in the various boxes, and then you actually define the path of how it's being presented. And that's where really the power comes in. You're actually showing the connections between one text box to another, blowing it up or making it smaller to emphasize or de-emphasize the information that you're trying to do. And here you can see how we kind of just generally designed it, and this is the tool wheel over here that we use to create it. And it's just, again, it's something that if you spend a few hours with, it's easy enough to master. This particular presentation, or actually the earlier one, the R Office presentation, took me probably an hour and a half to create, and maybe another half hour to perfect. And then this divorce one, I kind of did it in components. It probably took about 4 hours to create, keeping in mind that I already had all the information available. It's really great to have an idea of what it is you want to present and kind of an outline of what you want to do, and that makes the creation process that much easier. So with that said, I think that's everything I wanted to add to this seminar today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know. So back to you, Claudia.
Okay, thank you. That was fantastic and very exciting to see what you're doing in Napa courts. We're going to now transition to Colton Lawrence at Texas, who will show us his videos. Colton, we can hear you.
Here at Texas Legal Services Center in Austin, Texas. Today I'm going to talk to you about an ongoing part of our self-represented litigants project. It's a project that's a couple of years old. We have many components to our self-represented litigants project. We provide legal information through the website texaslawhelp.org, which I manage. Through texaslawhelp.org, we also provide the live help chat feature. We have 2 attorneys who split their time, and one takes the morning, one takes the afternoon. It's a really successful program for us. We've helped a couple of counties install self-help legal kiosks, which are basically just branded computers with all the law help information, and the default page is Texas Law Help, and so they can access the live chat features, the legal information resources. We also have been spending a lot of time on developing our interactive A2J forms, which are also very successful. The thing that we're really focusing on right now are our self-help videos, so that's what I was going to talk to you about today. I wanted to give you a little idea how Texas Legal Services got into video production. Kind of stemmed out of a partnership with the Lubbock County Bar Association. We were part of a grant where we were able to film a video called The Legal System Helping Yourself in 2010, and that was funded by the Access to Justice Foundation, and it was very well received, and we wanted to bring the video production capabilities in-house. This is my boss, Paula Pierce, talking with the district clerk in Lubbock County, and this is the setup that we used for filming. So it was pretty much left to me to build the quote-unquote production studio. Started that in late 2011, and basically it was just about securing the equipment. We've been really kind of building what we have in our video arsenal for the last year and a half, and we learned lessons about equipment. You definitely get what you pay for, and if there's any area you would never want to go cheap on, it's your audio. We had bought a pair of what's called lavaliers, or the wireless mics, and we looked at all the reviews and we thought that they would be okay for our purposes, but turns out the quality was just not even close to what we needed. So we ended up having to spend roughly 5 times more to get a really nice system, but it makes a huge difference in the quality of what we're able to put out. The other thing, we went for a tripod that was pretty well rated on Amazon, and it broke in the first week of our actual production that we just wrapped up not too long ago. So we ended up investing in a higher quality tripod, which really makes a difference in the terms of shots that you can get. Here are some pictures of our video equipment, our video production office, our editing bay. That's the other thing that we did spend quite a bit of money on, to get the top-of-the-line Mac with all the good editing software, which really makes the workflow go a lot more smoothly. So I was tasked with the equipment purchases. I developed a list of equipment, but basically just pulling from internet research, personal experience, talking to people in the business, just to get a sense of what we would need. So fortunately, we've been able to get together a pretty good stable of equipment. We purchased everything through Amazon. It just made it easier for my CFO to kind of keep track. Prices were usually, if not always, best. Shipping costs were pretty low. You'd be surprised on some of the equipment that's pretty bulky that you can get, you know, discount or free shipping on. Also, you should probably check to see if your state can sign up for tax exempt status. We were here able to do that in Texas, so that has been a benefit. Here's the list of all the video equipment we have in our arsenal. It's a pretty lengthy list. I think there's like 60 items. That includes your big things like the camera, your editing equipment, your software. But it also includes the little things that, like gaff tape, which is pretty much an industry standard to use on any set. Multiple uses. It usually doesn't stick to walls or carpet, so it's pretty standard. The project we're currently working on is a partnership with Texas Office of Court Administration and Lone Star Legal Aid. We're funded by a technology initiative grant by Legal Services Corporation. OCA is creating texascourthelp.org, and it's going to be a website to complement what we have available on texaslawhelp.org, but it'll be a little more specific to court situations or what you might expect in court. So we shot it for 5 days in Austin. The cast consisted mainly of coworkers. We had a crew of 4 and 1 runner driver. We shot in the Travis County Courthouse, Texas State Law Library, Travis County Law Library, Office of Court Administration, State Bar of Texas. So what we're currently doing is we're editing 3 to 5 minute videos that help pro ses navigate the court system. There will be 14 of these videos that will go onto the texascourthelp.org website, and it'll have links to all the relevant information. So it's going to be an awesome thing for Texans who have to navigate the court system on their own. The videos were also shot simultaneously in Spanish. Just some quick things, lessons learned. We did a simple amateur mistake, which is we didn't really keep track of our footage with our audio, which is a bad thing, especially when you're doing your audio to a separate device than your camera. Then you have to go back in and editing to sync those 2 elements, your film and your audio, and we didn't really keep the proper records. We bought a slate, which will help us keep track of the scenes, the takes. It also helps to the little clappers there so that it helps you sync your video with your audio. Just a couple other things. When in production, setup usually goes slower than you think. Your actual time to shoot just zooms by, and you find yourself at the end of the day, stressing to get the last shot. And if possible, have someone to act as just one person to act as a production manager to keep things on schedule. You have so many logistics going on sometimes, especially when you're working in a live court or a courthouse, that you just having one point person that isn't the director or the lighting guy or sound guy who can or women who can take responsibility just to keep the production on track. One thing that a lot of people don't know is the importance of food when you are shooting videos or movies. Food is essential. There's many reasons for it. The most important thing is it just shows, that you are looking out for your crew, because a lot of these are probably doing this for free or low cost. The other thing strategically is it gets people to the set and it keeps them on the set. If you need someone and they ran off to Starbucks, then you're going to have to wait until they get back. So people are more motivated, I think, to get to their call times earlier if they know there's going to be food and refreshments. So food is a huge thing. The one thing I did too was as soon as we got done filming, I just put together a really quick 4-minute overview of what we shot, and I just wanted to get people excited about the project, and I think it worked. Everyone saw the production values were great. So I would recommend as soon as you're done filming, just edit something really quick together just to give your partners and the people who are in the film and everyone else, just get them excited about the project. I wanted to leave just to give you an idea of maybe, how you can approach your filmmaking or videography on a budget. So you don't always have to have high-end stuff for your video shoots. Some things you can, take a cheaper or free route. For instance, here's a shot of our very state-of-the-art sound booth that our audio guy came up with. Everybody thought it was like a little fort in my colleague's office, but it was actually a pretty well insulated sound stage. We did all of our voiceover in it, and the quality was really good, and we didn't have the budget to rent the sound booth, so this was a great alternative, although we realized aesthetically we could do better. So I want to leave you with a little video that Art and I came up with. We were making our own sound booth one day, and I realized, wait a minute, this should be a video, a how-to video. So we literally shot this and edited it in less than 2 hours. So once Art and I got this video done, we realized we should be doing a series of these. Whenever we tackle a new project, we should make videos. We decided to call it Production on a Budget. Hopefully we'll have a website called productiononabudget.org. You can find tons of great ideas, obviously, on YouTube. So we're going to try to catalog and videotape the ideas that we implement to show that it can be done, and sometimes you don't have to spend a lot of money to have really good quality. So thank you.
My name's Art, and we're going to build a sound booth on a budget today. For that, you need a couple things: staple gun, moving blanket, and a couple partitions that we picked up at Walmart. Easy partitions. Basically, going to lay the blanket over the partition and staple it down. This will give us a damp sound. You want a damp sound because a lot of rooms have characteristics to them. So we're going to use these moving blankets to try to dampen the sound, meaning, to absorb a lot of that reflective stuff that you don't want in an audio recording. So right here we have the partition laid down on the ground. You just throw the blanket over it, and we're just going to staple it down. This is almost done, half finished. Let's see. For the top, we have a third blanket. We bought just another one, and should work. This is a test what the sound booth sounds like from inside. I'm about to step out. You can tell a lot of the room noise is gone inside, but once you come out, I'm pretty sure it's more prominent. This is what it would look like for the person inside the vocal booth. Here we have a music stand. This is a blue mic. We use this on a lot of shoots. So this works well for particular applications as well. This is a pop filter or a popper stopper. This prevents the plosives. You say a lot of P words or D's or F's. Sort of blocks it, just a LED light right here that we use on production as well. It's dark in here, so we have, have some light source. Also, tends to get a little stuffy as well. So in between takes, we usually have a fan or something someone turns on and off. I forgot to mention we also have a boom mic stand. Works well for this sort of application as well. Again, just like with this vocal booth, you can improvise some of these things. A flashlight will work just as well. You can actually make an LED panel. Pretty good with electronic soldering and whatnot. You can make this pop filter as well with just a coat hanger and a hose. You can even improvise with the mic stand. You can make, just a piece of tape, gas tape or something. want, something secure. I hope you enjoyed our little video, recording booth on a budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Colton. That was fantastic. It was neat to see the booth. I am going to turn it over to Mike Waters from ProSeniors. Mike, are you ready?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. So I'm gonna give you the screen.
All right. Okay. All right. First of all, I'm going to apologize in advance for the disturbingly old school method of my materials, and the technology I'm going to be talking about isn't new. A lot of you are probably already familiar with A to J. The good thing about it is that it works. So what I'm here to talk about as a very low-tech person was developing an A to J template that would create a power of attorney document in Ohio. What I do, my name's Mike Walters, is manage the legal hotline for ProSeniors. We have a statewide legal hotline for senior citizens 60 or older, and we do about 6,000 calls a year in which seniors call, schedule a 30-minute appointment to talk to an attorney to obtain legal advice about any legal problem they want to talk about. Last year, we closed approximately 350 matters in which the primary legal problem involved advanced directives. I would guess that probably 3 to 4 times that number of calls, the subject of power of attorney came up during the call. Ohio enacted the Uniform Power of Attorney Act effective for March of 2012. And in conjunction with that major change in the statute here in Ohio, what we did with the Ohio Legal Assistance Foundation and with Steve Simon, who's a private attorney here in Cincinnati, was develop an A2J template where a client could go to a website, answer questions, and create a financial power of attorney document which would be compliant with Ohio law. Let me show you briefly how it works. If you go to our website, which is here, and this is our home page, and you click on financial power of attorney, this will take you to a page we created which has lots of information about the Uniform Power of Attorney Act, statutory forms that can be filled in if the person chooses to do it that way, and a link to the Law Help Interactive website to go to this interview. And it takes a minute sometimes. So basically, person goes to the Law Help Interactive website, hits proceed, has to agree to the terms of use. And what the person eventually gets is an interview with a very nice lady who first explains some of the concepts involved. This is what you're doing a power of attorney document. This is not legal advice. This is not an attorney-client relationship. Credits ProSeniors and the Ohio Legal Assistance Foundation for creating the documents. Explains the back button. Explains the Learn More button. Explains competence briefly. Explains the concept of agent. Gives a few suggestions on how to pick a good person to be an agent. And then this is the meat of the interview. So what the person does is simply answer questions. Obviously, there are limitations in the person has to be literate and able to type on a computer, and hits the continue button. And eventually what the person ends up with is something that looks like this. By the way, I'll mention this briefly later. We created a cover letter. So what appears first on a printed document is a cover letter which includes our phone number and some other things and some additional instructions that we created with it. And after going through the instructions with our cover letter and the official instructions in the statutory form, the person has a financial power of attorney document. Developing it what we started with was the script from Idaho Legal Aid, because Idaho happens to use the Uniform Power of Attorney Act. So the model statute that they were using is very similar to what Ohio had, and they had an H script. I'm not going to go over the script because of time limitations, but it's in my materials, and if anybody needs the entire script for some reason, because you're going to develop a template, feel free to email me, and I will be happy to email the entire script, which runs over 40 pages. So we started with the Idaho script, made revisions to it over a period of approximately 2.5 months, and then we began testing it with the legal aid organizations in Ohio, and we finally released it live on May 1st, which was Law Day, and this is a copy of our press release, and that's also in my materials that we put out in conjunction with releasing the template. What I wanted to talk about, again, because I'm not really a tech person, were policy issues in creating the template. Because when you're creating a power of attorney document, you're creating something that's fundamentally important for senior citizens. And the reason it's fundamentally important is if a senior becomes incapacitated so that they can't sign documents, they can't make decisions, if there isn't somebody in place that can write checks, pay bills, handle things for them if they're incapacitated, the only legal remedy for that is guardianship, which is an adversarial legal proceeding, which can take away the senior's legal rights. It can get ugly, it can get expensive, and it's time consuming. And so primary point of power of attorney documents, and of course healthcare goes in conjunction with financial power of attorney, is to avoid the need for guardianship if the person becomes incapacitated. So you can imagine with seniors, this is something that they think about a lot, they ask a lot of questions about, they're very interested in. What Idaho had done as a policy, and then the question then becomes, okay, this is an important document the senior wants, but it's also a very dangerous document. Virtually every call that we've ever gotten at Pro Seniors involving financial exploitation by a family member of a senior involved misuse of a power of attorney document. So the question is, how do you design the document in such a way that there is at least some protection? You minimize the chances that the document can be used to financially exploit the person. When I first started working on this, what I did was go to the Idaho website and complete the interview and get a document. And what I ended up finding out on the printed version of the document is that Idaho had defaulted, and this was not a result of any question I'd answered or anything I'd asked for, defaulted to what attorneys call a springing power of attorney, which means that it can only be effective if a physician determines in writing that the person is incapacitated. So Idaho made undoubtedly a policy decision that in order to protect the senior, they would prevent the document from being used at all unless a letter from a doctor was produced. Now, we decided not to go that far primarily because from calls from clients, we already knew that clients most of the time don't want to make it springing. They don't want to require the power of attorney to have to produce a letter from a doctor to use it. So we did give the person the choice. And so in our case, this is a screenshot from the interview. Power of attorney can become effective immediately or only when you become incapacitated, and then there's a definition of incapacity. And then the next screen on the interview gives the client the choice of making the power of attorney effective immediately or only upon incapacity. We made another policy decision in developing it in order to try to protect clients. And what we ended up doing is that the Uniform Power of Attorney Act includes 8 powers which are particularly subject to abuse by the attorney, in fact. And the 8 powers are actually included in the Uniform Power of Attorney form and in the statute itself. And these 8 powers are changing beneficiaries, making gifts, changing rights of survivorship. And in fact, in the statute itself, there is a caution granting any of the above 8 powers will give your agent the authority to take actions that could significantly reduce your property or change how your property is distributed at death. We chose not to make that part of the interview itself. The interview includes the ability of the client to select special instructions, and the client could add anything into those special instructions that they wanted to add, which would include possibly gifting powers or any of those other 8 potentially abused powers. But we did not make questions part of the template that would make it easy for the person to put any of those 8 powers into the document. And again, that was our way of trying to make it less likely that the document can be used to financially exploit a senior citizen. We also included a cover letter in the final document. So what prints out before the actual form itself, as I showed you before, is the cover letter from Pro Seniors, which has our phone number right up front. So if the senior person happens to be an Ohio senior that's printing the document, they know they can call us and talk to a lawyer. We included an additional warning, and we just basically wrote this ourselves based on the Ohio statutes. Under Ohio law, it's a crime to unlawfully or improperly use an adult's resources for monetary or personal benefit, profit, etc. We also, because one of the technological problems you deal with when trying to develop something like this is the powers have to be initialed on the printed document in order for that particular power to be effective. And so the question is, you can't create that as part of a computer program. The person has to literally get out a pen after they print the document and write their initials. So when the interview asks questions about particular powers, it reminds the person it must be initialed. But this allowed us to again remind the client that for a particular power to be effective, they had to put their initials on the form. It also allowed us to add other instructions that are beyond what's in the statutory instructions as part of the form, so we could explain it needs to be recorded, if it's going to be used to convey real estate, and so forth. It's been an extremely popular template. Just as an example, there were 1,219 interviews over the period of just May and June of 2012. Over that entire calendar quarter, the next most popular template on that website was 268 interviews for the expungement form. So you can see that it's being used a lot. It gives seniors access to a fundamentally important document. It frees up legal aid's time because it doesn't involve an attorney having to complete the form. And it saves low-income people the problem of having to pay an attorney or figuring out how they can pay an attorney to prepare a financial power of attorney document. So my contact information is here. If anybody needs any more information, feel free to contact me. And that's all I have. I will be happy to join in questions and answers at the end of the session. Thank you.
So now we're going to transition to Terry Ross. And Terry is going to talk to us about the Guide Me concept or tool that they created at Illinois Legal Aid Online, which is a way to bundle a lot of different materials into a very simple and easy to use tool for people who are looking for self-help information. So Terry.
Hi.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes.
Hi everybody. Thanks for hanging in there. This is this is a lot of information, and to be honest, I'm not going to cover too much that you haven't already heard about. So you're going to be hearing you've already heard a lot of themes throughout this webinar, and you'll hear those again from my presentation. I'm going to talk real briefly about Guide Me module. And what this is a specific type of online content that we offer on our public websites. So my organization does the statewide websites for Illinois. We have 4 websites, 2 for attorneys, 1 specifically for legal advocates, 1 for pro bono attorneys, and then we have 2 for the public, 1 in English and 1 in Spanish. And the Guide Me module primarily appears on the 2 public websites. Claudia, if you can go ahead and click to the next slide. Great, so this is what the GuideMe module looks like. It is a series of clickable tabs, and you can see the tabs running through while I talk. This is our most popular piece of content, Getting a Divorce in Illinois, on our English website for the public. The idea behind the GuideMe is to bundle content as a one-stop shop of sorts for a particular legal problem. And it's the first iteration of the GuideMe was actually, for us, we designed it back in 2002. I looked for a screenshot of it so I could show it to you, but I can't find one. I tried the Wayback Machine, and they don't have it. They don't have it logged on. So this is the most recent iteration. This one has been on the website since 2009. The idea behind the GuideMe was to present comprehensive information in digestible chunks. So one of the things that you've heard about already on this webinar is usability studies show that people who are consuming content, particularly online content, don't read long pieces. And this is becoming even more true now that people are reading on mobile devices where the screen is much smaller. So it's very important to chunk your content. This was also a way, the GuideMe was also a way to force a structure on the actual content development. So, so we knew that we wanted our popular content to be in this format, and that assisted the people who are developing the content with a particular format to fit it into. Let's see, Claudia, go ahead and click ahead. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about content strategy. You want to be strategic about the content on your website. You want to write for your audience, and this goes to readability. This is another theme on this webinar. There are some great resources on plain language. WriteClearly.org was mentioned. It was included in the chat box. That's probably the best tool out there. Readability, plain language is really, really important. So if you do nothing else, make sure you're paying attention to that. UX, user experience. So usability principles tell us an awful lot, and you can't assume that you know the best structure with your intended audience. And you've already heard about this in today's webinar as well. This is best done through a usability study. The latest iteration of the GuideMe that you saw on the last screen was tested in 2009. We partnered with the Illinois Institute of Technology, IIT, with one of their classes. So it was a free, provided us with a free study, and it provided the students with a really good real-life experience. And one of the examples that came out of that study, for instance, was that the tab that is now labeled Common Questions was called FAQ. And I don't know if you all remember the days when there was always an FAQ section on every website. And now you can hardly find it anymore, and that's because nobody knows what it is. What does FAQ stand for? So that was one of the recommendations that came out of the usability study. There were a number of others that we implemented. So test everything you create with users, prioritize the changes. Some of them will be implementable immediately, some of them won't be. You want to implement your high priority items as soon as you can. I put the usability.gov website up. This is a really good resource for those of you who want to know more information about user experience, user-centered design, usability testing. You can do it. You can partner with a college like we did, or you can do it yourself, and there's a lot of good do-it-yourself materials on this website. Finally, policy issues. You want to be intentional about how you serve up your content. So one of the policy decisions that we made for the public website was to not offer forms as standalone pieces of content. And what that means is when you do a search on our website, the search results will never just be a form. Forms are couched in other content. This was based off of information from advocates, judges, and clerks telling us that pro se litigants were completing and filling out the wrong forms, and also that people don't always know how to categorize their legal problems. So they think they need this form when in fact they don't need that form at all, they need something else. So based on this information, our forms are couched in other content, and the hope is that people will read about the legal issue first and then determine whether they need the form. So the forms are available in the Guide Me. There's a separate tab for them, but we hope that they'll read the introduction and the common questions before they get to the form to see if the form is actually what they need. Okay, Claudia, next slide. All right, so this is my last slide. Learn from our mistakes. So you want to design, keep these 3 things in mind when you're designing. So first of all, evaluation. You want to think about this from the start. It's not always intuitive to think about evaluation from the start. We often forget about it. We're excited to get the project going, and we don't think about, well, how will we know if it's been successful, or if it's effective, or it's being used the way we thought that it was going to be used. So you want to make sure that you're setting up systems to monitor trends and use. And the graphic that you see on this page is from Google Analytics. I saw that somebody in the audience asked about Google Analytics, and YouTube has its own analytics. YouTube is, of course, owned by Google, so they're similar, and there are ways that you can combine them. Google Analytics is free, and you should set it up if you have a website. You should set it up and track it. It gives you an awful lot of information. You do need someone to put in tracking codes into your website pages. And then if you want to be really comprehensive and thorough about tracking things, there's a lot of different options for what you can do in Google Analytics. So what you see are our results for, these are our general websites stats from the month of July for the public website, illinoislegalaid.org. Second, you want to build for mobile. So the Pew Center for Internet and the American Life website tells us that many of the people that we are serving have outright skipped desktops and laptops and gone straight to accessing the web from their phones. So mobile is really equalizing the digital divide for the people that we serve. Make sure that you're including it in your technology planning. Mobile screen is much smaller. Again, this goes to your content strategy and how you develop it. Third, as I mentioned in the last slide, you want to test with your users and learn from them. Usability testing consistently shows us that our assumptions are often wrong. And Google Analytics, one of the things it can do is actually aid you in usability testing. If you set it up properly, it will show you what the navigation paths that people are taking in navigating your websites and the pages and the resources on them. So again, make sure you get that set up. Now I put in this equal sign that says, don't build in Flash, build in HTML5. So our Guide Me is built in Flash, and Claudia mentioned this earlier when she was showing you that really great Families Change website from Canada, which is a fantastic resource and really a good example of interacting, providing interaction so that people can learn. Flash is not viewable on an iOS device. So anything that Apple makes, Apple and Adobe don't like each other. And so if somebody comes to our website from an iPhone on their mobile browser, Safari, they cannot see the guide me. What they see is an HTML version of the guide me, which is very, very text heavy and not nearly as pretty or interactive. The other problem with Flash is that we can't set up Google Analytics to track how people are clicking through the tabs. So we don't have any knowledge from our web metrics, at least, of how people are actually using the guide bees. Do they in fact read the common questions first, or do they just go to the forms, despite the policy that we set up? So once we transfer over from Flash into HTML5, we'll be able to start tracking this in a much better way. And that's really all that I have for you. So thank you for allowing me to present. I'll answer any questions.
To take it over, so just to wrap up, thank you all for sharing all your experience and expertise. So when developing materials for self-represented litigants, keep in mind the 3 types of knowledge that we talked about. Keep in mind how the brain works. We're wired for visual. We like transitions every 10 minutes. We like to stimulate the senses. We like to explore and learn. And then Michael and Terry talked about policies. You know, technology you can do pretty much anything with technology. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna do everything. You have to have policies and you have to have an approach. So you really need to know the audience so that you create materials that will be helpful and easy to use, like the whole concept of putting the forms in the context, not having things out there by themselves where somebody could read them and misinterpret them, etc. Keep in mind user behavior and then think mobile. At some point, we may be doing both mobile and desktop applications. But think mobile, everything that you're doing for desktop, start thinking of what the path is going to be to go mobile. I'm going to end there and open it up for questions for the audience. So if people want to raise their hand, or Jillian, I don't know if you want to suggest how we handle questions right now. We did have some questions about plain language, and we also had a tip about share law. In the references here, we're putting a lot of these other things that we didn't have time to cover, and all of the URLs of everything that we share are here. So we will send this. This will be part of the presentation that gets emailed at the end. The theories of knowledge that I reference are here, and so we hope that you will come back to this presentation and delve into some of these additional resources. WriteClearly.org is a go-to webpage for plain language. There's tutorials and lessons there that was developed with LSC funding. There's even a very cool tool where you can put a phrase and it will give you a plain language suggestion. The other one is sharelawvideo.org. That is another LSC funded project where legal aids are posting videos and instructions and materials so that other nonprofits can develop videos. We did have a question about online forms. For people who are looking to create online forms, the resource is Law Help Interactive, and we will share that also in the resource and references here in case people want to start automation projects, etc. And I will end like that.
Okay, I had a couple of questions. One is from Michael with the power of attorney A to J interview, and I'm just wondering if your private attorneys know about this, and if you're getting if you're getting flack from them for taking I mean, I realize who you're aiming, who your target audience is, but it seems to me that might be something that would cause some real problems with the private bar in the state and how you deal with it.
No, absolutely not. I have not gotten one piece of bad feedback from any attorney, and most of them are familiar with Pro Seniors. And again, we had a press release, so it certainly wasn't a secret. I have not gotten one complaint about this, that this was taking away business. Terrific. Yeah. That's
great. And then Terry, I'm just so naive about the HTML5. Every time I saw HTML5, I thought, oh, we have low income, low literate, web users using community machines, and HTML5, their browsers won't be able to handle that. What is the deal with HTML5? I mean, I guess the mobile phones are using it. Will older browsers on community organization machines be able to handle HTML5?
Oh, I think so. Well, I mean, browsers. So you want to update your browsers on a regular basis, right? And browsers are constantly.
I do, but I'm not sure the community organizations that are using websites do.
Well, so what we do, we work with public libraries very closely all around the state of Illinois, and we have a listserv, and we regularly follow up with them on, updates to the website. Many of them have, lists of that they'll block websites, right? Just because they're public access computers. They don't want people to be accessing every single website that people want to see.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we provide them regularly with a list of allowable URLs. And so when we do that, we also, if there's anything that needs to be updated, Flash often has updates as well. JavaScript has updates. So all of these things to really get the best experience from your online resources need to be updated on a regular basis, and we just remind folks to do that.
Right. So do you check analytics to see what browsers, how old the browsers are that people are using to look at your website, or you just?
Yeah, we look at that, and it doesn't, we haven't seen any flags to cause us to see, only 40% of the people who are coming to us are actually able to see all of our resources based on their browsers.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll have to look into HTML5. And then the final thing was I've just started exploring on Mass Legal Help when Claudia was talking about exploring information. And on Mass Legal Help, we have employment and unemployment and a section on unemployment insurance, and we have quizzes there.
Nice.
I didn't really prepare for this webinar today. I kind of forgot about it, but it's triggered me to think. I want to go back and see. I did look quickly, and it looks like we've had a few hundred. We've had it up for a year. And we've chunked our information, like what is unemployment insurance, can I get it, things like that. And then there are 5 or 6 questions at the bottom with little images of people, cartoon images that you can get for free. So I think that
send me the link. Yeah, send me the link, and I can put it in for people who want to see that approach, because quizzes are a fun way to test yourself. So.
And there's right and wrong, but there are no scores. Do you know what I mean? So people don't get scores. They just find out if their answers are right or wrong.
Okay. Yeah, send me the link and I'll add it to the final deck that gets posted. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Well, if there are no other comments, we already have had you with us for 95 minutes. I really thank all of you who stayed from the beginning to the end. I hope that this was helpful and that it encourages you to think about your self-help materials, gives you a structure, and then hopefully these 6 projects who are doing fantastic work that you will go and check out. We did not even reach, this was just like the tip of the iceberg, for lack of a better word. The materials that they're creating are amazing. We have an interview that we did with Sue Encherman and Daniel Ediger, where they talk about their projects a little bit more in depth if you want to check that out. But I really encourage you to go in and check these videos out. Also what Texas is doing with their videos, how they're doing it on a budget. It's fantastic. And if you want something to read on your summer vacation, check out that book, Brain Rules. I really encourage everybody to look at it, because that's what we're dealing with. It's our brain and how we want to make it easier for the people who are not lawyers to get to the finish line. So what Neil was doing with the Prezi in terms of being very reassuring and talking about reassuring people that there's a beginning and an end, and there's a method to how you do things legally. All of that are things that we can start incorporating and doing more of and becoming more holistic. So thank you all. We will end unless there's any last minute.
All right.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for attending, and thanks to the panelists.